we've got a drift kit. This is the RD2.0 from Yokomo. It's called the Rookie Drift, and it's an inexpensive $200 drift kit that has a lot of really cool features that I haven't seen present on some of the other ready-to-runs. All of my drift experience comes from ready-to-runs. This is our first time looking at a proper drift kit. Now, there's nothing wrong with ready-to-runs. They're a great way to kind of get you into the hobby and get your feet wet. But sometimes there can be limitations and you just want to take it to the next level, and a kit would be a good way to go. Plus, it doesn't include all the electronics, so if you needed to, you could pull the ready-to-run electronics out and outfit this, or equip it with new electronics with the spec of your choosing. Now, this particular kit was built, equipped, and then sent to us by Yokomo, and thankfully they did, because we probably never would have made this video otherwise. And they put some really nice electronics in here. These are all Yokomo drift specific components, and the servo is the SP02D V2, the gyro is the DP302 V4, we have a 13.5 turn Type R motor, and then the BL Pro 4 brushless ESC. It's a brushless setup, 2S, and this ESC and the servo are highly programmable. There are so many different adjustments that you can make to it, along with the chassis too. There's kind of a rabbit hole you can go down with this thing if you really want to test, tune, tinker, and just start experimenting with different settings. Now, what makes this kit really cool compared to some of the ready runs that I've seen is, out of the box, it includes adjustable turnbuckles and a gear differential. And I believe the RD1.0 did too, but not MST vehicles. We also have these really short, stubby rear suspension arms. Check how short those are. The hinge pins are pushed way outside from the gearbox. I believe these were an option part on the previous car, and now they're included as standard. We also have tons of steering out of the front wheels. That's pretty standard with some of the ready-to-runs now. They have a lot of angle too, but this steering setup has been updated over the RD 1.0. Another really cool thing are the rear drive shafts. They are sweeping and angled into the outdrives, and that angle puts a lot of friction on the pins of the drive shaft when they're in the outdrive, and it causes binding and traction. Another thing is this 4-gear transmission. Like I said, it has the gear differential. It has the ESC placed in the back as standard, and it's also a high motor setup. You cannot move this motor down low. It stays up high, but you can adjust its angle if you want to. Now, because the motor stays up top, they took all the extra room below the gearbox to allow the battery to be smushed all the way up. And that's kind of the coolest thing about this car, and comparing it to some of the ready-to-runs, is the battery location is further back than on any of the other cars that I've looked at, and it makes this whole chunk of weight back here really condensed. I imagine you're going to be able to get just really big angles out of this thing when it's driving along, and it looks more like a proper, serious drift car. Will it drive like one? I mean, we're going to find out. Just for fun, this isn't meant to be a comparison with an RMX 2.5, but let's put both of those on the corner weight scale system and see what their weight biases are. So RMX on the scale first. And we're looking at 63% weight bias in the back. Let's do the Yokomo. I have a feeling it's going to be a lot more. And 69%, okay. Couple of notes. It needs an LCG battery, one of the low profile batteries. A thicker shorty would work, but it's really made for a thin shorty. And then check this out. The servo, it's a drift specific servo, but it has like this softness to it at the end. It's just crazy. And then with this gyro, we were able to connect it into the transmitter so we can adjust the gyro gain with this knob. So for a first run, the car feels really loose out there. I don't know if these tires need to break in a little bit. Probably a lot of driver needs to improve his skills. but gonna get a little practice, get a body on here, and we'll come and try again. Yokomo sent this body. It's their ready-to-run body. But instead, we picked up a fancy body. Oh, look at that. So this body's not gonna work because we don't have enough clearance in this window area to get it down low, unless we pop out a big hole in the rear window and let the motor sit out of it. Well, to mount the body, we were gonna use the Yokomo magnetic body mounts. We've never used these before, and they come in a separate front and rear set. We bought these and the body. I think we should just send it. Cut out a hole. I do not like these front Yokomo mounts at all. Look how they just move around. Are you thinking what I'm thinking? I believe these are the scale reflex mounts that attach right onto the body post so they can't move at all. We'll continue to use the rear Yokomos, but not the fronts. So I just noticed there's a little bit of a lip on the back side of this front shock tower, so the Yokomo front magnetic body mounts never sat flush. If you Dremel the back of this shock tower so they'd sit flat, they'd probably work okay. The body is on there, and it is the 2016 GTR race body. I don't think I mentioned that. It's a gorgeous looking body, and it should look really nice going around the track. So let's do that. So it's been a few days and we've had some time to practice from when we originally threw down the car, and the more we drift, the better we're getting at this. The car is using the Yokomo P-Tile tires. They're called the DRPA competition tires, and they were extremely slick when they were new, but now that they're getting scuffed in a bit, they seem to be working in and just hooking up a little bit better. We do seem to be getting around the track fast though, compared to some of the other drifters that I've seen just slowly creeping around. So I'm not sure if maybe that's just the driver or the tires, but I am trying to cut really tight lines on the track like I'm racing a touring car. But then again, I'm also a noob at drifting, so bear with me. Now, one thing that has been especially helpful while practicing is having the gyro adjustment right there on the transmitter, so you can raise and lower the gyro sensitivity and just experiment with it and see how it affects the car. That has been awesome. The gyro overall is a massive improvement over any RTR gyro we've ever used because it's just so silky smooth. It has no harsh or abrupt movements. It's just buttery, and it was really impressive and unexpected. Some RTR cars have gyros that just move super quick and they're like hunting for the right spot kind of. It does mess with the driving, and it just kind of doesn't look very realistic either when you watch the car do that. This gyro makes the tires look natural when you watch it, and it just was surprisingly a massive help. We also had the gyro set with the assist off on soft mode, using between 55 and 65 gain on the transmitter. There's a lot of adjustments you can do on this gyro, and we don't even skim the surface. Having the gyro on 65 on the transmitter is definitely a lot easier to drive, while 55 or lower is a bit more lively and challenging. In retrospect, when we mentioned the softness to the servo earlier, I think the gyro was responsible for that. Another big surprise was having a motor with some actual wheel speed, where RTRs just can't compete, and with a little boost from the ESC, it just comes in handy. Now for the car, it's superb for a $200 kit, because some drift kits are super expensive, and this one isn't. And it's not really all that different either, except it doesn't come with all the fancy carbon fiber and aluminum parts. It's just all plastic. But it is super adjustable out of the box. It comes with the adjustable turnbuckles. You've got the gear diff. The permanent high motor allows the battery further back, so you've got a greater weight bias, and it just pulls greater drift angles than any other ready-to-run that we've used, and stably. Overall, the car is awesome, and I have a feeling it's kind of ruined my fun with RTR drifters now that I've felt the difference. The car just has everything laid out in the right spots. You don't have to do any work. You don't have to buy any upgrades to fix or add the adjustments that should have been there. It just works, and it comes configured proper out of the box. There's tons of upgrades available too, if you want to buy that stuff, but I'm not sure how much of that is really needed. Honestly, I have nothing bad to say about the car, except the name. Calling it the Rookie Drift kind of doesn't seem right, because isn't that what a ready to run is? And this RD 2.0 is definitely many steps up from a ready to run, and I loved it. It was great to drive, and you should check it out. So guys, go check out this awesome drift car and all the other components that we used in it with our links down below. And for more RC videos, check these out.